Now that's the Pelicans team you've been waiting to see. New Orleans and Sacramento 6-game winning streak in dominant fashion. I'll break down how Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and Cody Zeller, yes, you heard that correctly, got the Pelicans the win. Let's be super positive in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pelicans, your daily New Orleans Pelicans podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On Pelicans, the daily podcast covering your favorite team, the New Orleans Pelicans and NBA, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, available wherever you get your podcasts and available on YouTube. I'm your host, Pelicans Insider, credential member of the media, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter. Here with y'all on this Tuesday, day after the Pelicans have a dominant win over the Sacramento Kings, 129-93. Let's break down how things work so well between Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, how the role players, Cody Zeller in particular, stepped up. I want to look at the defense as well. Just a great all-around performance. Almost no complaints, 10 out of 10, no notes here whatsoever. Today's episode of Locked On Pelicans is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And of course, thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you want to support the channel, become an everydayer. Listen, Monday through Friday, we break down the games, the trade rumors, all of the things you want to know about the Pelicans, the Number One Pelicans podcast every single day. Support the channel. Become an everydayer. Really simple as that. Tell a friend about the show too. Let's get into this one. We don't want to waste time. We're like 2 minutes into the show, and we've got a dominant Pelicans win here that we want to talk about. 129-93, just all over this team. They had a 41-point lead on a team that's fourth in the Western Conference that was riding a 6-game winning streak coming into this one. This was a phenomenal performance from start to finish from the New Orleans Pelicans, particularly in the second and third quarter. Second quarter, they outscored the Kings 37-22 and blitzed them entirely in the third quarter, 34-16. There's a reason yesterday's show, Monday's show, I said I'm optimistic about the Pelicans right now. They played the top 3 teams in the Western Conference, the Nuggets, the Mavs, the Timberwolves, and now actually the Sacramento Kings. In those first 3, they went 2-1 and came and had a chance to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team they played without Zion Williamson. The talent, the reasons for optimism, the reasons to believe in this team were right there. And against a very tough opponent, a Kings team that has done well against New Orleans kind of in the past couple of years, and we'll get more into De'Aaron Fox and the defense the Pelicans played on him in the next segment, they killed him. If you look at this, this team just played the 4 toughest teams in the Western Conference and have gone 3-1, and it easily could be 4-0. That's good. That's good, y'all. We don't need to overthink this. There's talent here with this team, and they're still missing guys. There's no CJ McCollum. There's no Trey Murphy. There's no Larry Nance Jr. I want to talk about him in particular in the third segment when we look at Cody Zeller, though. There's reasons to be very excited about this team, and you saw it in full display on this one. It starts with the 2 stars. Zion Williamson, 26 points on 16 shot attempts, 1 turnover. He dominated the second quarter for this one, and there was no answer that the Sacramento Kings had for him. Some teams have answers. We've seen Zion at times struggle. I'm trying to pull up a stat here and trying to find where it is, and I'll get there in a second. And he dominated 18 points in the second quarter for Zion Williamson alone, just cutting through, knifing through the defense, finishing with his left hand. When he gets going, dude's unstoppable. He finishes like Kyrie Irving, like a guard at the rim, and no team has an answer for something like that. That's why we believe in Zion Williamson despite all of the injuries. Gets others involved too. Dished out 5 assists in this one. He was active on the defensive side of the ball. We'll look at that in the next segment here because I want to talk about the defense. 12 of 16 for 26 points. He only got to the line twice. He was just finishing everything, knew he was better. And they were running very simple actions for him. What's what I love about this? You don't need to do much to create space or give Zion room. They were running dribble handoffs basically with Jonas Valanciunas. Valanciunas would have the ball, would kind of do a couple of dribbles, then kind of hand it off to Zion. It gave him a little bit of space. He would then curl around to the left, just attack right through the paint. Easy bucket. That's why Jonas had 7 assists in this game, was just simple little movement plays like that created a little bit of space for Zion, and he took full advantage of it. Then you have Brandon Ingram, and you could argue that he was more impressive in this game than Zion Williamson. 11 of 18, 61%, not 75% like Zion, but that's pretty good. 31 points, 1 turnover, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. The number, though, that stands out here, and you all know what I'm going to say if you're an everyday, 5 of 5 from 3. Jose Alvarado said it in his press conference after the game because this was Jose's return. Brandon Ingram needs to take more threes. Yes, 5 of 5. And he did these in a variety of different ways. Some were pull-up threes. Some were catch-and-shoot threes. Some were off the dribble, in transition. He's a good three-point shooter. He needs to take more of these. He needs to make his shot chart more efficient because you see the offense look elevated when he is taking and making threes. Look, the starting lineup in this game was Dyson Daniels, Herb Jones, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Jonas Valanciunas. Is there a shooter in that group? Is there a shooter in the starting lineup? Valanciunas might take threes and make threes, but he's not a shooter. Zion's not a shooter. Herb Jones, 1 of 2 from 3, and this we'll talk about him in the third segment. Okay, but he's not a shooter. Dyson, not a shooter either. There's no shooters in this lineup. You need spacing. You need 3-pointers to at least break the defense a little bit. So Brandon Ingram going 5 of 5 hopefully gives him the confidence that he needs to go out and rip more shots. We got an injury update that Matt Ryan has a calf strain, is going to be out for 10 to 14 days, maybe before he's reevaluated. You still don't have CJ McCollum. You don't have Trey Murphy. You do have Jordan Hawkins. Who are the shooters on this team that are available to play right now? You need Brandon Ingram to take more threes. The Pelicans took only 28 in this. That's lower than their number from last year. 3-point shooting in 2023, 2024 is important. So thank you, Brandon Ingram, for doing that. Again, 31 points on 18 shots is insane efficiency. He went to the line just 4 times. Made all of his, which was great to see. But the threes are the thing here. When he gets those going, it also gives him room to drive to the basket a little bit more. Teams are going to close out on him harder. He's good with the ball in his hands, so he can put the ball on the court and attack. And when you saw these two kind of working well together, I mentioned Zion at 18 points in the second quarter, while Brandon Ingram at 18 in the third. It's just the second time in franchise history that 2 players have scored 18 points in a quarter in the same game per Pelicans PR. They knew when it was my turn to dominate, and they worked well together, particularly in that third quarter, because Brandon Ingram was shooting threes, particularly in the second half when Brandon Ingram got hot. 4 of 4 in the second half for him. He didn't need to play much in the fourth quarter, neither did Zion. But that's what you want to see from these guys. You're starting to see them coexist a little bit more. Maybe it did just take reps, just take some time on the court. I don't know if it's the best fit overall still, but it's worked the past 4 games. And these two are starting to coexist. You're starting to see better chemistry between them out there on the court. I loved what Zion Williamson said after the game. You know, the key to them kind of having success and playing off each other, get the ball to 14 and get the heck out of the way is what he said. Love it. Look for your teammate. Use your gravity and spacing to pull defenders away and let Brandon Ingram go and do his thing. And when he does it with an efficient shot profile, an efficient shot chart, good things are really going to happen. That's a big reason why the Pelicans ran away with this one. They just dominated. It was awesome. They also dominated because of the defense. I was terrified of De'Aaron Fox going into this one. Didn't have much of an impact to the game. That was cool. Let's talk about that and how they did all of that coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Right now, though, I'm excited to tell you about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. If you bet on the Pelicans in this game to win outright on the money line, $5, you'd have won your bet and you would have gotten $150 in bonus bets. Your team wins. You win as well. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, again, America's #1 sportsbook, there's no better time to get in on the action. It's super easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options. The money line, you could take the spread. Player props, is Zion going to score more or less than 22.5 points? Did in this one. You have the over-under totals for the game. We knew there was going to be a lot of points scored in this one. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and tip off the NBA season, kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL and the official sportsbook of Locked On. And thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Become an everydayer. Support the channel that way. And if you want to interact with me more, I don't do it on Twitter, really. I do it on the Locked On Pelicans Insiders group. You want to text me? This is your option to. Right to your phone. $5 a month, $4.99 a month. But you get a 14-day free trial. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. Just cancel. And the show's still going to be free and 5 days a week for y'all. But if you want to know a little bit more about the team, I sent a message into that group saying, hey, De'Aaron Fox is missing his shots pregame because he was. Worked out well for the Pelicans here. Maybe that was an omen for something. You'll get insight like that as part of the Locked On Pelicans Insiders group. And also become an everydayer. Listen Monday through Friday on the show. If you see me in person at the arena anywhere, say hi. Let me know that you're an everydayer. I'll also be, by the way, Pels 12 are doing a watch party on Saturday for the Jazz game at Mid-City Yacht Club, kind of a post-Thanksgiving Friendsgiving. I'm going to be there. Come hang out. Mid-City Yacht Club on Saturday for the game. I'll be there in person. Support the local fan group. Okay, let's get back to the Pelicans' just dominant win over the Sacramento Kings, 129-93. Look, they were good. They were good. And look, they were paced by Zion and Brandon Ingram, but others really played a big role in this one too. And when you look at this game, when I tell you the name, De'Aaron Fox, New Orleans, Pelicans, what do you think? Think of him just lighting this team up. Like regularly lights this team up, particularly in the Smoothie King Center. Talking to Jim Eichenhofer before the game of Pelicans.com, and he was like, yeah, man, that dude just comes here and he does special things. Do you know how many points De'Aaron Fox had in this game? 14. He shot 5 of 18 from the field, 27.8%. He was 2 of 12, 16.7% from three. He was 2 of 4, which is kind of funny, from the free throw line. Dude just couldn't make a shot. And as we talk about the defense right now, I want to acknowledge one thing up front. The Kings had some shots that went deep into the rim, into the cylinder, and then just rimmed out. They had, I think by my count, 4 or 5 threes that probably should have gone in, and that maybe changes the complexity of this game and how it would have ended up for New Orleans a little bit. But they were up by 40. Even if they make 5 more threes, right? It's 15 points. That's not putting them in the realm of being anywhere close to this one. Because the defense for the Pelicans was swarming. The intensity was there. And that's what you've been waiting to see from this team. They need to thrive on the defensive end and create easy offense on the other end of the ball. And they did. De'Aaron Fox was flustered all night long. Domantas Sabonis, who's been great for them this season, has kind of been one of the catalysts, along with Fox, of their 6-game winning streak. They've been playing through him a lot. He had no impact, it felt like, in this game. He was 4 of 8. He took 8 total shots. That's it. 10 points. Had 8 assists, okay, but 5 turnovers. He had more turnovers than made shots in this one, as Jonas Valanciunas and Cody Zeller really just bodied him up down low, forced the turnovers. You also had Zion Williamson rise to the level that he needs to be on the defensive side of the ball. 3 steals for Zion in this one, 1 block. He was active on the defensive side of the ball. And when the entire team is playing with that kind of intensity, they're really good. They were the 6th best defense last year. You haven't really seen it. You've seen flashes of it at times this year, but then they ramp up the intensity against a very good offensive team in the Sacramento Kings and shut them down. That's not a fluke. Yeah, there was some bad shooting for the Kings. They shot 38% from the field in this one, 24% from 3. They only made 2/3 of their free throws. Still, that's not just a pure cold shooting night. That regresses. Malik Monk, 3 of 8. He's been one of their catalysts off the bench. Herb Jones, Dyson Daniels playing excellent defense in this one. Najee Marshall bringing a level of energy that this team has lacked since his return, right? Same for Herb Jones. Since he's been back in the lineup, they're 3-1. Clearly, his energy and what he brings on that side of the ball 1 steal, 2 blocks in this one, is a catalyst for the team. You had Jose Alvarado's return, his debut this season. So he hadn't played since February, I think it was, something like that. He gave him effort, and you could see the team just fed off of his energy when he was out there on the court. Jordan Hawkins even switching and playing good defense. Everyone just doing their part. They were also fighting on the glass. The Pelicans won the rebounding battle very handily in this one. 55 total rebounds compared to 36 for the Sacramento Kings. The Kings shot 33 of 87. There are a lot of misses there. The Pelicans have been a bad defensive rebounding team. They allowed 9 in this game. They themselves grabbed 10. And the Pelicans actually won the second chance points battle for the first time in a while, 15-10. They limited the Sacramento Kings by grabbing those defensive boards, but also by their second effort on the defensive side. That's what's going to make this team amazing. They have the defensive identity from last season, and it doesn't matter who's out there. They can do this with anybody. We saw it last season. They've had rotating guys this season, but that starting lineup now with Herb Jones and Dyson Daniels in there, you don't need as much shooting necessarily. You'd still like it. Because Brandon and Zion Williamson are coexisting. They're elevating the offense. It's working. And now you're able to play swarming defense too. Force turnovers. Get out and run. The Pelicans won the fast break point battle. They put the Kings on the back foot by pounding the ball inside and winning the points in the paint. They had 38 in the first half alone. They finished with 64. They had 38 in the first half. The Kings had 40 total in the game. They just completely dominated this team in every aspect, every single aspect. This is why I've been very positive on the Pelicans for the past couple of games. Being competitive against the top 4 teams in the Western Conference says something. And again, they're not healthy. There's no CJ McCollum. There's no Trey Murphy. Larry Nance Jr. we'll talk about in a second here. But you're missing those 2 guys that are so key to your team. You don't want to go to Matt Ryan right now, who's been a key contributor for this team. They've been good, and they're not even coming close to their potential. And you're going to play defense like this against one of the better offenses in the league, one of the better scorers in the league. I think it was De'Aaron Fox who scored 73 total points his past 2 games. He's been on a tear. He's shooting above 41% from 3 this year. He just went 2 of 12 because of the defense that the Pelicans were playing on him. There's reasons to really get excited about this Pelicans team and believe in this Pelicans team. And that's why I wasn't even upset, as I said in yesterday's show, if you're an everydayer, about the loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're doing this still shorthanded and not reaching their full potential, not reaching their ceiling. When they do, I love Matt George, our Locked On Kings host. I actually really like him. He's one of my favorite people on the network. That dude works hard. His show is good. And look, for all of the trouble the Kings have had not being good, I was so happy for him to have the season that he did last year and for them to go on this 6-game winning streak this season. And he tweeted something out. I'm not taking shots at him. This will probably get back to him, and I don't mean this in a bad way. He said, 6-game winning streak for the Kings, they're a problem. You know who's a problem? The Pelicans, if they get fully healthy and reach their potential, not the Sacramento Kings. That's who the problem is, and you saw it in this game. That's who the league should be watching out for. They shut this team down. It was awful. If you're a Kings fan, good if you're a Pelicans fan. Just a tremendous win all around with that. Also tremendous because the role players are really stepping up. And an issue has been, the backup big spot has been an issue for the Pelicans this season. I think Cody Zeller might have just fixed that. Let's talk about that coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Right now, though, I want to tell you about PrizePicks, because PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy. It's super simple and exciting. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros, sharks, you pick more or less on the stat projection for 2 to 6 players, and then you watch the winnings roll in. And with football and basketball season both underway, you can go for a combo projection that includes 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. LeBron James plus Travis Kelce at a 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made and receptions, more or less than that. You also have the reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If you have a player who exits the game in the first half and doesn't return in football or basketball, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. Makes it even easier to watch those winnings roll in. It's the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So if you want to give it a try, use your sports knowledge, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. They're giving you free money right there. You deposit up to $100, they'll match that. You deposit $50, they'll give you $50. That's at prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA. PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy. And thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We are here Monday through Friday for y'all, breaking down everything you want to know about this Pelicans team. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, the number one Pelicans podcast. Support the channel, become an everydayer. Listen Monday through Friday, or if you listen 1 day a week, listen to 2 days a week. If you listen to 2, listen to 3. Up it a little bit here. We're going to have a show every day of the week here for you. Maybe even go live after the game from the court on Wednesdays. They take on the Kings again, see if the Pelicans are able to repeat what they did Monday night. Don't forget, come see me, Mid-City Yacht Club, for the Pels 12 watch party on Saturday for a little Friendsgiving action. You might need a break from your family. Come hang out. Come say hi. Let me know that you're an everydayer if you're there. I'd love to talk Pelicans with you and support the Pels 12 and all the awesome stuff that they do. And for your second listen today, I got to pull this up here. We've launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, Locked On Sports Today, here for you 24/7, covering the top stories across all of the leagues with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows like Locked On NBA, which I do every Wednesday. It's on there. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Okay, we're talking about the Pelicans 129-93. Listen to that final score win over the Sacramento Kings. Just domination. Brandon Ingram looking good, hitting threes, perfect 5 of 5. Zion Williamson doing Zion Williamson things, unstoppable with that left hand, looking like a guard. Kyrie Irving finishing around the rim. The defense swarming, limiting Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, all of those guys that are big contributors for the Kings did nothing in this game. A big reason why they won, though, is they maybe have an answer, at least at times, for an issue. The Pelicans have not gotten much out of the backup big man spot so far this season. You know, you're starting Jonas Valanciunas, you're playing Zion Williamson there at the power forward spot too. You know, your backup 5 has been Larry Nance Jr. It's a small ball 5, but his minutes this year have not been good. He's getting out rebounded because he's a little bit undersized. Small ball 5. You know, he hasn't been able to be as mobile this season and defend on the perimeter as much. He hasn't scored in double digits at any point in time this season. It's been a rough go for him. And now he's out injured and hopefully recovering and can come back healthy and be a version of him that we saw the past couple of seasons here in New Orleans, season and a half. But he has not been good this year, just flat out. And I'm sure he would admit that. So they've needed someone to step up. And well, Cody Zeller did in this game. Cody Zeller off the bench, the one signing they made in free agency this year, ended up being key in this game. Almost over 23 minutes of action, 9 points. Here's the thing to look at with him, though. 9 rebounds. Ending those defensive possessions or terminating offensive possessions for the opponent. Pelicans have been giving up a lot of offensive boards and thus a lot of second chance points. It's been killing them. They've been doing the work to get a stop. The opponent misses, and they don't terminate, end, finish, whatever word you want to use that possession on the defensive side. Cody Zeller going out, grabbing 6 defensive boards, 9 overall rebounds is massive for this team. When you look at the bench, he was a plus 12, the highest by far of that group. They won the minutes with Cody Zeller out there on court. Just hustling, just being a smart player. He can actually defend on the perimeter a little bit. He was outstanding in this game. The box score, the numbers do not do him justice for what he did. If you watched him play in this, I guarantee you, go back and watch this game again, and the minutes that he's out there on the court, you're going to feel them. In the arena watching this game with a buddy of mine, Zach, looks at me and goes, he's been really good tonight. I said, yeah, you can tell that Cody Zeller was really good in this game. They need those backup 5 minutes, the backup 4 minutes to really matter. And if Cody Zeller gives them to you, that's great. Because Jeremiah Robinson Earl didn't do it in this one. He was rough. In 11 and a half minutes, he was a minus 12, 1 of 4. His defense was really, really rough, in my opinion. You can't have that. He's got to rebound better. He only had 2 defensive boards in that time. You need a stronger showing from that, and it was Cody Zeller who gave them that minutes. And credit head coach Willie Green for knowing which guy to roll with. That was, I thought, very important in this game for them to be able to get that win. And it's going to be very important going forward if you can get quality minutes from Cody Zeller at that spot. It was also nice to see Jose Alvarado back out there on the court. There's going to be some rust from him, but 5 points, that's cool. I'll take that. Made a three, made another bucket. He also had 3 assists in this one. It was just nice to see him out there on the court. Got a big ovation as he checked in for the first time this season. He's a fan favorite. We love seeing him back out there. It's nice that he's back to playing basketball. Can hopefully really help the Pelicans this year. Jordan Hawkins, not a great shooting night overall from the field, though he made 2 of 5 from 3, so 40%. Dude still just plays bigger than he is, man. 5 rebounds, 4 on the defensive side. He just gets up and plays strong, good at switching. You like the defense you see from him. Dyson Daniels, too, in this game, I thought was actually really good. 5 assists, making an early 3, couple of boards, getting in on the defensive side of the ball, but using his length to disrupt shots, contesting shots. Excellent. He's been growing kind of before our eyes here. If he can keep making some more threes, 1 of 4, but they're all threes. It's good. He's got a little bit of fearlessness in him. He's taking those shots. I dig it. He's been growing. He's been playing really good basketball, and I like to see him in that starting lineup. All you need him to do is do one thing well, whether it's assists, shooting threes, in addition to his defense. He's doing that, though. Herb Jones, also excellent. 18 points on the night, 4 assists, 7 rebounds, 7 of 9 from the field. When you have your 2 stars in Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson coexisting playing well, it means life is going to be easier for Herb Jones. Was in this game. He's been more decisive. They're using him as your ball handler, primary ball handler a couple of times, bringing the ball up the court, among other things. That's great. I love what we've seen from him recently. He's been a catalyst for the Pelicans to go 3-1 in the 4 games since he's been back. Not on Herb's a thing, and he's looked great out there for the team. What impressed you the most in this win over the Sacramento Kings? Was it Herb Jones? Was it Zion Williamson or Brandon Ingram? Was it Cody Zeller? Might be Zeller. That one was a little bit unexpected. I'm happy we got to see that. Let me know in the comments down below on YouTube. So I want to talk more about Dyson Daniels, Herb Jones, some of the other things that we saw from this game in tomorrow's show. Get you set for the rematch here Wednesday night. We'll have a show every day this week with Thanksgiving going on. It's going to be a lot of fun here on Locked On Pelicans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure you're subscribed, become an everydayer. Consider the Locked On Pelicans Insiders subtext group. That's pretty cool. As always, I'm your host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter. I'll be back with y'all tomorrow to talk more Pels.